Yes, college football fans, you are on the right channel. You're on the right channel. Don't tune away. If you love Miami, USC, Texas, Oklahoma, Michigan, even Michigan, you're in the right channel. Ohio State fans, you're on the right channel too. So let me fix my set real quick. I want to get this just right. I don't have it exactly the way I need it. Hang on just a second. Okay. All right. So here's the deal. Many of you have been watching me for a long time. Some of you have been watching me for a couple weeks or a couple months. Some of you have never seen me before. Here's the deal. I love college football. I've been told, and it's been commented a few times, that I'm not real passionate. People don't know my passion for college football. Have you noticed how much video I crank out on college football? I love and as passionate about college football as anybody on the planet. I'm not an idiot. I'm not a jerk, but I'm just as passionate. And it starts with the scarlet and gray. This is my love. This is my passion when it comes to college football. This is it. So I analyze college football. I do it neutrally. I do it from a neutral standpoint. I give you the facts, the perspective from a neutral analyst. I've worked in television now for 27 years in sports television, locally and on the network level. I know what I'm talking about. I know my stuff. I know college football. I love college football. I started MarkRogersTV way back in 2010. I got more serious about it around 2013. And I initially talked about whatever I wanted to talk about. It was about baseball one day. It was about the NFL another day. It was college football. Then I decided college football fans are passionate just like me. So I'm going to talk about college football every day. And since 2013, I've been talking about college football every day. And I have went on a search to bring on the best bloggers, the best broadcasters, the best writers that I can find to talk up their teams and to talk up the games. Even though before that, nobody complained about me talking about Wisconsin, Michigan, Oklahoma, USC, Washington, Clemson, Alabama, whoever. I talked about everybody and I did it capably. But here's the passion. The passion is the scarlet and gray. It's Ohio State. Here's the deal. I can do both. And I would love to get your response to what I'm doing right now, because I will bring you a passionate fan-based, and it's going to be a logical fan, not an idiot fan, perspective on Ohio State football every week, or as often as you would like it. If it's successful, if people want it, if you want it, then I want to deliver it. And I will continue to bring the best, the very best insight into college football nationally. The SEC, the Big 12, the Big 10, the ACC, the Pac-12, the Group of Five. I will continue to bring the most objective analysis of college football. How objective is it? Do you see this? Do you see this? I love the Buckeyes. I've watched Ohio State football every game since 1977. I'm old. Yes, I'm old. I'm that old. Some people don't believe it, and I appreciate that. But I'm old. 1977. I remember in 1977 losing to Michigan as an 8-year-old and going up to the TV and slamming my fist on top of the TV. I used to shake my fist at Bo Schembechler. Yes, I love Ohio State football. Believe me, I love Ohio State football. When we finally beat Michigan in 1979 after losing 3 consecutive times, so I had never, as a Buckeyes fan, experienced that joy of beating Michigan. We finally beat them in 1979 to cap off an undefeated 11-0 season. Yes! Woo! Yeah! Yeah! Woo! I was fired up. I still get fired up thinking about that game. 1981, thinking about Art Schlechter. Art Schlechter. Hang on. Art Schlechter. Art Schlechter. If many of you know the story of Art Schlechter, this guy was Mr. Buckeye, Mr. Ohio State quarterback, Mr. Ohio football as a high schooler. He came to the Buckeyes. He threw 21 interceptions as a freshman. Believe me, I got them all up here. 4 touchdowns. But he was a prized freshman, was the first freshman ever to start at quarterback at Ohio State, his first game. His first game, he threw 5 interceptions against Penn State in the shoe, and they lost 19-0. And yes, avid. My memory's now failing me a little bit, but there was a time very recently that I could give you the score of every Ohio State game since I've been a fan in 1977. They're all right there. NCIS Fanatic 21, you know, because you can do just about the same. And as a college football fan, you realize that I love the game of college football to that degree where I'm spitting out scores. You guys know from talking to me all the time that you bring up the 2003 Orange Bowl or the 1994 Fiesta Bowl and I spit out scores and facts and players. It's not because I'm reading encyclopedias every day. It's because I watched it and it just stuck up here because I love college football. Okay, back to Art Schlechter. If you know the plight of Art Schlechter, yeah, turned out to have a great career at Ohio State, owned all the passing records until recently with the emergence of Terrell Pryor and, of course, Troy Smith, and more recently with, of course, J.T. Barrett pretty much wiped out the record book. But the record book for passing at Ohio State was owned by J.T. Barrett, or owned by Art Schlechter, number 10, Art Schlechter. And so I was asked one time if I could have anything for my birthday or for Christmas by my girlfriend at the time. And I said, you know what? I think we were just talking and I talked about I was asked my favorite football player of all time. And I said Art Schlechter. And when I say that to people know who Art Schlechter is and what he became after that, they think, you're crazy. Art Schlechter? So Art Schlechter, yeah, played 4 miraculous years at Ohio State. They never won a national championship. They came within 1 point. Gut-wrenching 1 point against USC, 17-16 in the 1980 Rose Bowl, but Charles White led the Trojans down the field, 17 plays, 83 yards, up over the top. Marcus Allen, Walter Payton style, up over the pile to win at 17-16, depriving the Buckeyes and Art Schlechter of their #1 ranking and national championship in 1979-1980 New Year's Day Rose Bowl. Anyway, Schlechter completed his career against Navy in the Liberty Bowl in 1981. He was my favorite player, and to this day, sure, there have been other guys who have been better, more accomplished, won more games, won bigger games, but there's something, as I mentioned to somebody recently when we were talking about games that you remember and players, and when your heart and soul was in it, there is nothing like when you're a kid. Your favorite players, your favorite teams, your favorite games, the games you remember when you're a kid that stay with you. And for me, it's Art Schlechter. So I told my girlfriend at the time, my favorite player of all time, Art Schlechter. And so I got a signed jersey at Christmas time. Okay. That may not stay. And that may be emblematic if it doesn't stay, if it falls, because Art Schlechter was drafted just ahead of Jim McMahon in the NFL draft, #4 in 1982, and by the Indianapolis Colts. And then the gambling problems and the drug problems took over, and the tax evasion, and his career was ruined, unfortunately. All right, but that's Art Schlechter. We'll go to the other end of the time spectrum, to the 2014 National Championship. And beating Alabama and Oregon was almost too good to be true, because obviously Alabama's the gold standard, and I hate to say that, but I say it, and this is how I prove I'm neutral all the time. I do it every day. I can say Alabama's the gold standard, even though as a proud Buckeye, somebody who grew up in Ohio my entire life, the meaningful part of my life from about age of 4 on, grew up in Ohio as a avid Buckeyes fan. I want to believe that we're number one, we're the gold standard, we're the best in college football, but it hasn't been the case quite. They've been that close, but not quite over the last 10 years or so. But that's from the, of course, the wins over Alabama and Oregon in the national championship playoff in 2014, the first. And I was digging through some things, and I came across, this was my son's Beanie Wells jersey. Yeah. And here's a little Troy Smith for you. So this is not Art Schlechter. This was my son wanting a Troy Smith jersey. So we got that. Of course, 2006 Heisman Trophy winner, had a remarkable season that year. Some shorts and, yeah, what do we got? Oh, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. The story behind this one. Beautiful, beautiful. So, yeah, we got all sorts of stuff here. Okay. I so much ingrained Ohio State football into my kids that my daughter, who is now 19, who still, when she's here, she's in college right now, but up until 2 years ago, up until, yeah, 2016, she was here. And even though she's got her own life and goes off with her friends and does all the teenage things on the weekends, she was always here watching football with me on Saturday, and we'd have a good time, and we'd go out and do some other stuff, come back, watch some football, but would sit and take the Ohio State games. She doesn't care about watching football, but did it for her dear old dad. So look at this little jersey. This almost brings a tear to my eye. I haven't seen this in a while, and I just dug this out. By the way, I don't want to forget this. This video is dedicated to Zoe. This video is dedicated to Alonzo1219. If you love Miami football, I'll even say that if you love college football, you should go subscribe to his channel. But he will talk Miami almost nonstop all the time. But if you're into the big teams, the big programs, and he's not going to spit out the stats, he is not going to analyze the game from that standpoint. He's going to analyze the game from a guy who's played. He's going to analyze it from the standpoint of emotion and passion, and he's going to tell it like it is. So he's going to call people out. He's going to embrace other people. He's going to embrace Miami football and let you know where he stands. Alonzo1219 has been pushing me forever, and there's a few others out there. Mike Laval has told me a number of times, you need to do an Ohio State podcast. It would be the best Ohio State podcast, and has told me that a number of times. Mike, I appreciate you. Zoe, again, this is for you. This is dedicated for you. We just got off the phone, and he finally pushed me. He's been pushing me, and he finally pushed me over the edge, and I'm like, Zoe, I'll do it. I know I'm risking a little bit of credibility, possibly, but I'm still going to do it because I look all over the internet. And for those of you who may or may not know, I work at ESPN. I've been there for 17 years. Even their analysts and anchors, why are they doing for the most part, why are they doing what they're doing? They love the games. They love sports. They're fans. So yeah, I'm a fan. This is my team. I will still deliver the best, the most insightful, the most unbiased analysis of college football that I possibly can. But now I need to tell this story. So this is the one that comes to mind. This was my daughter's James Laurinaitis jersey. James Laurinaitis, All-American linebacker, 3 consecutive years. Buckeye through 2008 from the great state of Minnesota. James Laurinaitis, his dad, the big pro wrestler. James Laurinaitis. Okay, so I remember this story about my daughter, and I just told this to somebody the other day. We were talking about how we've had an influence on our kids concerning sports. And we had a flight, my son, my daughter, and myself, going out west somewhere. And I don't remember exactly what trip it was, but we had a connection in Detroit. And so she was about 7 or 8 years old at the time. And I was telling them, okay, we've got to stop in Detroit, then maybe we had another stop. And I was just explaining the trip to them. We need to leave at this time, and we're going to arrive at this time. And she stopped me a couple times. She said, Dad, Detroit, we're stopping in Detroit? Yeah, we've got to stop in Detroit at noon or whatever it was. And she kept asking me, Detroit, Dad, we're going to stop in Detroit. And then she She's like, Detroit's in Michigan. And I was like, yeah. I wasn't even making the connection. I was like, yeah, we got to stop in Detroit. She went, Dad, we're going to be in Michigan. And I said, yeah, we're going to be in Michigan. She's like, really? We're going to be in Michigan. Do we have to? Yeah, it's going to be okay. We're going to be in the airport. We'll be in Michigan. It'll be fine. She said, and she was just like, wow. She said, I'm going to have my jersey on the entire time we're in the airport. I'm going to have my jersey on, and the whole time I'm going to breathe under it so I don't have to breathe Michigan air. I'm going to breathe under it. So proud of my daughter. And she's grown up to be a beautiful, intelligent young lady. And Michigan fans, Steve Dace, James Yoder, you guys know, Anthony Broom in the past. I've had some other ones on that I can't think of right now. You guys know, you come on the show, we treat you right, we talk college football. There's a mutual respect there. There's healthy sports hatred. I was talking to somebody about this the other day. Do I hate some teams? Yeah, I hate them. I don't want anything bad to happen to them. We can walk off the field at the end of the game just like the players and shake hands and embrace and talk and enjoy it after we just pounded each other for 3 hours. That's the way it should be done. So yeah, we've got the Block O, we've got some other stuff here that, yeah, I could tell a number of other stories. This one, man, this was just the best Christmas gift ever. I was 15 years old. I was a sophomore in high school, and my mom had this specially made, and I've kept this, and I wore this proudly. It had to get up to about 75 degrees before, and it's like thick wool, before I would take this off, and my name in it. Oh, this was like the crescendo of Christmas. You know, I'd opened whatever else that I didn't really care that much about unless they were Elvis records. And my mom, you know, they kind of unveiled the closet door off to the corner, and this baby was hanging right there. Beautiful. The Block O. Oh, I loved this jacket. Loved it. Beautiful jacket. Just a classic look. Classic look. All right. I don't know what else I can say here. You guys know why I'm here. I'm here to analyze college football. I love college football. I love the sport on the field. You guys know when things happen like they have at Baylor and Ohio State recently, and all over the SEC and all over the country and other conferences with teams, we've got to deal with it. We got to talk about it. But I love college football because I love watching the games on the field. I love the competition. I love the strategy. I love the history. I love the organization of the teams and the structure and ratings and rankings and doing all that stuff. But this is the passion. This is where it all starts. And I will continue to deliver the best in college football analysis. But if you guys, whether Ohio State fans or not, want me to deliver Ohio State content from more of a fan perspective, I'm still not going to be trash-talking Penn State. What do I have against Penn State? You know, Penn State, Ohio State series. So, of course, we got the big game coming up, number 9 versus number 4, Saturday night. So we're one day away from Penn State. And this is another reason why I thought, okay, this is the time to do this. Penn State joined the Big Ten in 1992. They played their first game against the Buckeyes as a member of the Big Ten in 1993. Buckeyes rolled 24-3. Then that next year, I remember this was the first year that I had a sports job on air. I was in Mississippi covering the SEC, Alabama, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and I could not watch the Ohio State-Penn State game that day. But I watched it later because I DVR'd the game, and it was brutal. 63-14. That was the Kerry Collins team, of course, Keyjana Carter, Kyle Brady. The Buckeyes and the Penn State Nittany Lions had great games. 95 was a great game. Eddie George scored late. Buckeyes won 28-25. The 96 game was a Buckeyes rout, but both teams came in top 10 in the country. 1997, Penn State squeaked by in Happy Valley, 31-27. It was basically, who was running the ball? 97. Why is it not coming to me? Curtis Enos for Penn State, running all over the Buckeyes. And Joe Germain hitting big plays downfield to David Boston and D. Miller. 1997, and Penn State survived 31-27. The Buckeyes pretty much owned the series for the most part. They lost in 99. Steve Belisari at quarterback, not a really good Ohio State team that went 6-6, didn't make a bowl game because you had to have a winning record then. Penn State was down, of course, after that in 2004, 2001, 2, 4, in that range. 2005 was a great game. Pretty much kind of the first whiteout, 2005, when Troy Smith and the boys went in there and lost 17-10. And the Buckeyes were that close to going to a national championship game that year. That was the year they lost to Texas. They blew a lead in the fourth quarter. They should have won that game. And Penn State, if I'm talking to you Penn State fans, you're thinking, were you close to a national championship? We were that close. We lost with 1 second left on the clock to Michigan. And so the Penn State series has been awesome. Of course, from about 2006 through a couple of years ago, it wasn't really that competitive, although Penn State won in 2008 en route to a Big Ten championship in the Rose Bowl. Man, Christian Hackenberg had some rough games against the Buckeyes, 49-zip at halftime. 2012, 2013. And, of course, the last 3 years of games, the last 2 years of games have been remarkable. The game that really marked Penn State coming to prominence in the Big Ten was the game that they pulled off 2 years ago in Happy Valley. And that was a tough one to watch for a Buckeyes fan. Blocked field goal, blocked punt. Penn State wins, and they marched on to the Big Ten championship. They proved it in Indianapolis. And just to prove that I can be neutral, even though my heart's beating scarlet, that I can be neutral, what was I saying after Penn State won the Big Ten championship and Ohio State had a better resume and a better overall record? I was saying Penn State should be in the college football playoff. You can look up the video. I will send out the video. For all those people that just rode me this time last year in December after the college football playoff selections, before and after, when I said Ohio State won the Big Ten championship. They have a better resume than Alabama. I'm not saying they're better than Alabama. They have a better resume than Alabama. They should be in the college football playoff. And some of you were able to either say, I agree with you, or you know what, Mark, I don't agree with that take, but I understand your logic. That's all I was trying to get across, that if you take the road of resume, track record, conference championship, then the Buckeyes go. The Buckeyes are USC, and the Buckeyes had a much better resume than USC. Or I would have argued USC, but it was Ohio State over Alabama last year. I did not say Alabama was not the best team in the country. And to prove that, look up the videos where I said Alabama's going to beat Clemson, Alabama's going to beat Georgia. I picked Alabama to win the national championship. So back to me being an Ohio State fan. Yeah, it's not the same as it once was. I still love the Buckeyes. They're my team. I love the Indians. I'm kind of starting to fall in love with the Browns. Maybe that's another video. The Cavs, my son loves the Cavs. Loves the Cavs, loves LeBron more than anything in sports. So, you know, I jump on the Cavs bandwagon, and I used to love the Mark Price, Craig Elo Cavs. Doherty, Hot Rod, all those guys, Larry Nance. But the Buckeyes have been right here since 1977 as a sports fan. And so it's in perspective now. It just becomes different as you get older. For most of us, I think. When you have kids, when you have a family, when you have a wife, when you have other things going on in life, and you start to see the perspective of what does this really mean? Well, it's fun. You can be passionate. And if you guys ever question my passion, again, who cranks out videos and pours as much time and effort into this as me. I may not be yelling and screaming all the time. I may only get triggered by a few debates or topics or matchups every so often where I dig in and stand for a point, and then people are like, Mark's preaching, because they're not used to me. Otherwise, I'm able to just provide analysis. So I am doing this for a number of reasons, because college football is about passion, and I want to let you know I am passionate, and here it is. I want you to know, for anybody that didn't know I'm an Ohio State fan, that wasn't something I was hiding. I didn't talk about it. I didn't bring it out, but people would ask me all the time, who do you root for? I root for Ohio State. It would be in the chat. People would ask, who does Mark root for? And people would know in the chat. They would. That was fine. I just didn't want it to compromise my credibility, because I do this because I love college football. I love the engagement. I love the interaction with you. I love to hear what you guys have to say. I am going to do this as long as it makes sense, as long as it's growing and you guys are responding. I know what I believe about what we're delivering here. I believe it's the best. It doesn't always look the best. Doesn't always sound the best. It's not always presented the right way. I'm not an expert marketer, brander. I have not dealt with marketing and branding and sales the way I should. I have just poured out content like nobody's business. That's what I've done. And we will talk about you insiders, you supporters that love MarkRogersTV, that support me. You know who you are. I don't have to go down through the list. There'd be too many to name. We'll talk about the channel and what I need to do. But this is one step right here. I will name him. Uncle Lou, there's some others, but Uncle Lou's the guy that comes to mind as a Georgia fan, and he makes no bones about it. Georgia is bones, Georgia dogs. Pardon the pun. But Uncle Lou, yeah, I love Uncle Lou. I think he's got a great thing going. He can come on my show anytime. He's been on once. We had a great time, I think. I think he had a great time. But I love what he does because, well, it's different than mine. It's just different. I'm not going to go into why it's different. Not better, not worse, different. But I love to crunch the numbers and rate and rank and do all those things. Uncle Lou is like, I'm a Georgia fanatic, but he talks about the other teams and if he follows the other teams. I don't think he follows the other teams like I do. You know, he's not going to be able to tell you who's playing on the offensive line for Washington. But people don't care about that for the most part. For you guys that are nerds like me, you care. Listen to me. Watch me. But this is just what it is right here. And, yeah, I kind of screwed that up. This is what it is right here. So, you know, it's the Buckeyes. Miami fans, you guys are great. You guys have, I think I've got more Miami fans than any other fan base. And you guys have had to put up with thinking, okay, this guy's an Ohio State fan. And what happened the last time we played in a national championship game that we are still pissed off about? And there it is right there. I don't know if you noticed. The 2003 national championship game. The 2002 title game. The 2003 Fiesta Bowl. We know what happened. All I ask, Miami fans, all I ask, I know it's a bitter pill to swallow. I know it is. But acknowledge a couple things. Acknowledge Ohio State punched you in the mouth, especially early in the game. I think that shocked that team that was so talented and rolled over so many other opponents. I think that 14-point spread kind of was locked in here that we're the best. We killed Nebraska. Nebraska, Ohio State, what's the difference? Pow. Well, the big difference was, although Miami had the flashy players, and a lot of legendary players. So did Ohio State. And that Ohio State offense and defense, those guys played in the NFL. Ohio State, I'm going to guess, came within a few players of having as many NFL players on that 2002 roster as Miami. Ohio State was known as a marginal offensive team, not explosive. But you know what? They had NFL wide receivers sitting on the freaking bench. Santonio Holmes was a freshman sitting on the bench for that team. Check me on that. Holmes 05 senior season, 04-03. I know he was in the lineup and prominent. He might have been a JUCO transfer, but otherwise he would have been a freshman that year in 02. But Chris Vance was an exceptional player. Anyway, the NFL wide receivers, Michael Jenkins had a nice career with the Falcons, and Chris Gamble. The entire offensive line, the defensive personnel all over the place, Tim Anderson, on and on and on. I could go through the defensive lineup, the NFL players all over the place. Will Smith, Dustin Fox, Chris Gamble, Matt Wilhelm, all played in the NFL. Donnie Nicky, all started in the NFL. So it was a loaded team. So Miami fans, I appreciate you hanging with me and appreciating the effort that I give you and the rest of College Football Nation analyzing college football and maybe just holding this against me just a little bit. But I didn't have anything to do with it. I'm not related to the guy that threw the flag. Can't think of his name. Oh, no, what I wanted you to acknowledge was Ohio State was a very talented team. Ohio State played toe-to-toe. Regardless of who won the game or would have won the game, neither team could say, or neither fan base could say, we crushed them. They weren't in our league. They were nowhere close to us. We blew them out. Well, even if Miami would have won, sure, of course, they would have claimed the championship and said, we won back-to-back, but they couldn't have said Ohio State wasn't worthy of being on the same field. There's no question that those two teams were worthy of being on the same field. It's one of the great college football games of all time. So just acknowledge that, and also acknowledge, go back. It's on YouTube, I'm sure, about 52 different versions of the game. Go back, watch the last Ohio State drive. Okay? Watch the pass interference on Chris Gamble on 3rd down that would have converted a 1st down, that would not have iced the game, but would have came very close to icing the game for the Buckeyes with about 2.5 minutes left, before the punt that was brought back for a big gain that put the Canes in field goal range. So acknowledge that there was also a pass interference missed on the other end, and then acknowledge that if you get the right camera angle, that there was technically not pass interference on that play on Gamble, but he was held. He was held by his jersey, by his arms. He was held up and locked up. All right, Miami fans, I only acknowledge you and go back to that game because of the great support I get from Miami fans here, and I appreciate you guys. You guys are great. I didn't want to go off into a tangent about any particular game. I just wanted to say I love the Buckeyes. I love college football. I'm going to continue to deliver the most insightful analysis that you're going to find anywhere. It's going to be unbiased, and as best as any of us can be unbiased. I think that's impossible to completely eliminate it, but I'm going to do my best and deliver to you as always. So until next time, I've got my predictions coming out very soon. And I still don't know if I'm picking Ohio State to beat Penn State because I'm trying to stay neutral and analyze the matchups. I think Ohio State's a better team, but just because you're the better team over 12 games doesn't mean you're the better team in Happy Valley on a Saturday night at 8 o'clock. Follow me? Syracuse beat Clemson. Pitt beat Clemson. There are games all over the place where teams beat other teams that are better than them. but in a certain setting, if they play 12 consecutive weeks, Ohio State's an 8-4 better team than Penn State. But one of those 4 might be Saturday night in Happy Valley. I'll be rooting for the Buckeyes, but I will provide, as always, fair analysis on college football. Right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Please share the video, like the video, comment. I would love to get your comments back on whether you want to see more Ohio State, more of anybody, whatever you want to see out of this channel. I want to deliver as long as I'm not compromising, good standards of college football analysis. Right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. See you guys next time.